Welcome back, my friends, to the Be Well podcast. In this roundtable-style recap featuring 5 more all-star guests, Dr. Hyman, Dr. Huberman, Dr. Gonzalez, Sal DiStefano, and Dr. Lekos, we'll expand on last week's Part 1 episode, which previewed the core pillars of mental and physical health. As we all know, technology and research are always changing, but the basics of being healthy remain largely the same from year to year, decade to decade, and even generation to generation, making these episodes and so many others an evergreen source of information. You can check out the full episodes featuring these guests for an expanded version of what you'll hear today, and explore the rest of the show's feed, approaching 300 episodes, to drill down on the themes that mean the most to you and your family. Now, to both foreshadow the talking points ahead and to center our minds for the task at hand, let's take a deep breath in. Fill up with all that goodness and exhale. Ready for all the world has in store for us? And if you're digging this format, let me know and click back to episodes 262, 265, and 266, where we assembled roundtable talks on blood sugar basics, raising healthy kids, and healthy lifestyle habits. Okay, let's talk lifestyle, starting with Dr. Mark Hyman, practicing family physician and internationally recognized leader in the field of functional medicine. In episode 237, we covered a range of topics and tips related to longevity and answered the famous biohacking question, what should you eat and avoid eating if you want to live to 120?
I traveled to some of the most amazing places in the world where people live to be well over 100 years old on average, the blue zones. And that was, in their environment, normal. They normally were active and fit and robust. And I met this guy, Pietro, was 95 years old, charging up the mountains, shepherding his sheep, and, booming voice, straight upright posture, clear eyes. I mean, he was 95 years old. I'm like, is this normal or abnormal? I mean, that's normal. What we see in our society is really abnormal. And it's because of these fundamental things that go wrong in our biology that we now understand are not normal. They call these the hallmarks of aging. And these things are places we can intervene, and they're the things that actually underlie all disease. So what we've come to accept as normal aging is really abnormal aging. And it's why most people, when they're asked, do you want to live to be 100 or 120? They go, no, because they see people around who are older who are not able to do stuff. And like, if you're 100 years old and you can ride your horse and you can hike a mountain and you can make love and you can, hang out with your friends and have a great time. Well, what's wrong with that? So I think nobody would be opposed to that. It's more the fear of losing their abilities and their faculties. And that's something that's really preventable for the majority of the population. So then the question is, what the heck should I eat if I want to be 120? And I think, you can look at different populations and whether it's a Seventh-day Adventists that were vegetarians or who would be very old, or at the turn of the last century, the Plains Indians were the longest lived people in the world at the time with the most centenarians, and all they lived on was bison and some berries. So like, what should we be doing? All meat? Should we be carnivore? Should we be vegan? It's confusing. So basically, as I said, there's a couple of key principles, what not to eat and what to eat, right? So they're both important. What not to eat, if you want to live a long, healthy life, is ultra-processed food. There's no question about that. No one will disagree with me, whether you're a vegan or a carnivore. Everybody agrees that that's a bad thing. And also starch and sugar. So it's not that we can't have any sugar at all, but we have to have an ability to properly handle that. And that requires us to have a healthy metabolism. Now, only 6.8% of Americans have a healthy metabolism, which is not most of us. So we have to be careful because we're all in that spectrum of prediabetes to type 2 diabetes. So having a low amount of starch and sugar is super important. And flour is just as bad as sugar. If you're having flour products, not just because of the gluten, because people think that's bad, but the actual starch. A piece of white bread is the gold standard for glycemic index. That means that's a score of 100. Table sugar, 65.
Yeah.
so Cheerios are 74. So, yeah. So those, you do not want to be eating that stuff on a regular basis. And if you're having bread, my joke is you can have bread as long as you stand on it and it doesn't squish.
Yeah, there you go.
Like in Germany, they have this kind of bread where you need those deli meat slicers to actually cut the bread, because a knife, you can't cut it with a knife. It's so dense. So that's okay.
Yeah.
But that's not most of us. The second thing is you want to make sure that your diet's high in phytochemicals, which are these medicines in food I talk a lot about in the book. And a lot of them activate some of these pathways, like I just mentioned about AMPK, but they also regulate sirtuins and mTOR, and many of the other things can be regulated through these amazing phytochemicals that are in our plant kingdom. And there may be anywhere from 25,000 to 1 million. We're still trying to figure it out how many of these are, but they're super powerful. And I talk about the most powerful ones in the book. For example, curcumin and green tea and glucophorinin from broccoli family and things from pomegranate like urolithin A, and some really interesting compounds that work really well on some of these longevity pathways. So you want lots of phytochemicals, so colorful plant foods. The more sort of organic, original to their original forms, like heirloom is better. But, most vegetables today are bred for starch and size and stability and look. But if you have a tomato that you pick off your garden in the end of August and it's a cherry tomato you put in your mouth, it's like an explosion of flavor. If you go to the store in the middle of February, and where I live in Massachusetts, you're getting like a thing that looks like a tomato, but it tastes like cardboard. And then you want to make sure you understand how to regulate protein, because that, as we talked about, is such a key part of longevity. If you look at all the data on longevity, even studies that show that it may be better to be vegan when you're younger, all show that you have to have more protein as you get older for two reasons. One, you tend to lose more muscle. And two, you actually get anabolic resistance, meaning your muscles become resistant to building more muscle. So you need actually more protein, and you need more high quality protein. So just the science, this is not a moral conversation, but the science is really clear that the best source of protein to build muscle is animal protein. And that can be whey protein, chicken, fish, meat, eggs, but that is a source of protein that is actually going to turn on muscle synthesis in your body. And that's essential to eat, and you need more. So having about 30 or 40 grams in the morning is really key on a fasted state that will kick in that process. And then probably another 25 to 30 to 40 grams, depending on your size, at the next couple of meals. So probably 100 grams a day, 120. Sometimes people need more, like if you're very active, if you want to build more muscle, if you're lifting weights, if you're needing more protein, you might need more. So that's really essential to understand. And the other thing is, making sure you're eating for your microbiome. This is really important with lots of phytochemicals, pre and probiotic foods, lots of fiber, a key, and also eat a lot of good fats. Your brain needs fat, particularly omega-3 fats, olive oil, avocados, nuts and seeds. These should be your staple fats. And then you can have sometimes saturated fat. I think it's not all bad for most people. So that's kind of the principle. It's not complicated. I talk about all in the book, and how to choose the right fats, how to choose the right proteins, how to choose the right plants, and how to sort of make sense of all the conflicting nutrition research out there. But I've been doing this for 40 years. I've been studying nutrition, since, I'm embarrassed to say, probably 43 years now. And, it's changed a lot, but I've learned so much about it, not just from the science and reading the papers and doing my own research at Cleveland Clinic, but from actually seeing patients. And that's, we call those anecdotes, but they really are powerful when you start to see over and over the power of food as medicine to change people's lives and reverse all sorts of chronic diseases.
Whether you're shooting for 120 or content to live out your time with optimal comfort and ease, the Fab 4 protein, fat, fiber, and greens makes for a great baseline. Next up, we're going to go all the way back to the very beginning, episode 001, with Dr. Andrew Huberman, neuroscientist, best-selling author, and prolific wellness podcaster, where he talked about first reframing, then taking control of anxiety.
Let's start with fear and anxiety and courage. Can you define it and explain what's happening in the brain when we feel that way chemically, and how maybe we can work with it?
Yeah. So fear, anxiety, and courage are all healthy responses depending on the situation. So we do not want to pathologize anxiety. So you have a system inside your body, has a fancy name, but you don't have to remember the name. It's the autonomic nervous system, for those that are interested. And that system is really designed to adjust your level of alertness or your level of calm, depending on what's happening. It manipulates your chemicals. Manipulate sounds like a negative word, but it uses chemicals and the electric activity of specific neurons in your body to try and adjust your level of alertness or calm to a particular level. So when we talk about anxiety, typically we're talking about people feeling a little too alert or a lot too alert without any kind of external thing happening. So that's how I define anxiety. It's like you're feeling really kind of agitated. Okay. Now, when we talk about fear, typically fear is of something external, like a known thing, like you're afraid something's going to happen or you're afraid of something. And in both cases, however, you feel more alert. In general, the way to view the fear response and the anxiety response is we were wired to feel agitated in order to get us to move. So the idea is it's trying to mobilize you, which makes total sense. It's trying to move you away from whatever it is this thing is. And the way to think about it is that anxiety was designed to get you to go do something, forage for food or tend to your loved ones and so right off the bat, we can start to give ourselves a little bit of relief by understanding that when you feel that agitation, it is a extremely healthy response to life. It's designed to get you to go look for things to do. It's designed to get you to attend to things. And sometimes people feel like they've just been overtaken by these thoughts and these things like accelerated heart rate, accelerated breathing. Yeah. So, if you're feeling overly, for those have done public speaking or something, you're feeling a little too agitated heading out there. I mean, the difference between excitement and anxiety is just an interpretation, right? So for those of you that, you have a big event and you're kind of feeling nervous before you go, that is a perfectly healthy and normal thing that before a social engagement, your system is kind of getting geared up to now engage with people. And you're thinking, okay, what happened last time when I saw them? So quickening of heart rate, generally we feel a little more tightness in our limbs because we're prepared for action, right? And it's not just action to fight. That's why I'm not so crazy about fight or flight. It's action, like you're getting ready for something. And sometimes you don't even know what you're getting ready for. So you might feel a little bit stiffer. Your breathing might be a little bit quicker. You might be taking more breaths. Typically, there's a response also to your visual system. Most people aren't aware this happens, but when you are in a heightened state of alertness, your pupils get bigger. You're going to be able to see certain things much better, but the background and everything else drops away. So you can't see the big picture when you're in a heightened state of alertness. So you actually are missing things. It's like looking at the world through a soda straw. You're
sort of like portrait mode on your iPhone where you're like, I just see your face. Exactly. Everything else is perfectly blurred.
Exactly. And if ever there is a situation where you're feeling too much alertness, you just need to be, or sort of anxiety or fear, you need to be aware that this is happening to you, because it turns out that the name autonomic nervous system is a misnomer. Autonomic means automatic, but I'm going to tell you that you can absolutely control this response. You have 3 basic entry points to take control of anxiety. I mean, legitimate areas of voluntary control that will counter the anxiety response. Okay, so the first one is one that most people aren't aware of, which is their vision. So a moment ago, I said, when you are in a heightened state of alertness, the world is, certain things are getting sharper. Now, you could be looking all around and kind of in a state of disarray. What I'm about to describe still works. And it's cool because it's totally covert. No one will know that you're doing it. So it turns out that you can counter this response and you can start to get more calming of your system by going into what's called panoramic vision. So what this involves is keeping your head and eyes stationary. And what you're going to do now is you're going to dial out your gaze so that you're keeping your eyes stationary. You're now seeing the ceiling, the here we're seeing a table, but you see the walls. You see yourself in the whole picture. So let's say you have social anxiety. A lot of people have social anxiety, and they show up to a party and they're going to like hit the bar and we're trying to adjust their social anxiety. That's the other way to go at your autonomic nervous system. I don't have any comments about that.
Just tequila.
Yeah. Well, whatever it is that it's your thing, try this, because so it allows you to set off a relaxation response that's very fast. Now, most people don't know this, but our eyes were not designed for seeing. They were designed for adjusting our internal state. Then they developed the capacity to see. And then the third thing that eyes do is they communicate, which I have a 13-year-old niece. So every time she does an eye roll, I'm always like, yes, another data point that eyes are used to communicate. But so we'll talk about how the eyes do this in a number of contexts, like circadian stuff. But so this, a lot of people ask questions about this. So let's say you're feeling anxious. Bring it down a little bit. Just open up your gaze, as we say. So you need your eyes open, and you're just trying to see yourself in the environment you're in. And this is, I'm not imagining this stuff. There's a known increase in alertness that accompanies looking at something very specifically. Okay, and so you're letting that out. You're letting it relax. Incidentally, people who are claustrophobic, this is one of the major issues, is that like if people don't, they don't have a window or something to look out of, that you can't get this panoramic vision. So even better is if you can look out a window or you can see a horizon. So what I just described, this panoramic vision, is actually what happens when you look at a horizon, which is one reason why I think sunsets and all this are so relaxing. Your eyes just naturally go into this panoramic view when you view a horizon. So you can do this anywhere. Now you'll notice that it's the opposite of focusing on a specific point in space. So it is, I'm not anti-phone. I grew up in Silicon Valley. I use my phone all the time, but looking at your phone, regardless of the content on your phone, bringing your eyes to that specific focus is going to just heighten your degree of internal alertness, what we're calling anxiety. So this is a tool you can use anywhere, anytime. The other thing is exhale emphasized breathing. So whereas people normally say, when you're stressed, take a deep breath, you want to do the exact opposite. Exhale. You actually have a specific set of neurons in your brainstem that are responsible for sighing. So here's how a proper sigh works. Okay, my niece also likes to show me the sigh.
She accompanies her eye roll with a sigh.
Exactly. If you combine the eye roll with a sigh, you are definitely, I think there's a reason why kids do that. We can talk about that. It's kind of fun. But a proper relaxation response inducing sigh is, you can try this. So you're going to inhale through your nose, and now you're going to inhale again before you exhale, and now exhale through your mouth. And what that does is it increases the size of these little packets in your lungs that we all have, and then it collapses them, and then it refills them, and it balances the amount of oxygen and carbon dioxide in your system just right. So you're actually doing these little sigh things about twice a minute without realizing it, but you can deliberately do it, which brings me to a really important point. You have a ton of internal organs, like your heart and your lungs and your spleen and your liver. You can't control them. You can't just decide, I'm going to change my heart rate. I'm going to change how I feel. I'm going to change how my organs are working, except for one organ. You have one organ that is every bit as much like the muscles of your body, which of course you can move voluntarily, and that's your diaphragm. The diaphragm is skeletal muscle. So we, as scientists, we like to distinguish between cardiac muscle and smooth muscle and skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscle is designed for voluntary action, like picking up a glass and putting it down. Mm-hmm. The diaphragm will work just fine on its own, but the diaphragm is skeletal muscle because you have a special nerve, for those that are interested, it's called the phrenic nerve, that goes from your brain down to the diaphragm, which will allow you to control your breathing at any moment. And so when you start to think about your diaphragm as a muscle, just like any other muscle in your body, you start to think, that's interesting. I can walk down the street and my muscles are working without me thinking about it. But if I want to deliberately do something with my muscles, I do it. I move to the side or I run or whatever it is. You've got a muscle that is perfectly happy to keep you breathing all the time, but it was designed to also have this voluntary control. So breath work and respiration are not some, sneaky, like new agey thing of like hijacking, or I don't even like the word hacking your system. It was designed for this. Okay. And your eyes were designed to set your level of internal state. Also, we'll talk more about that, the circadian stuff. So now if you start to combine these, you think, okay, if you're feeling too anxious in any situation, you can go into panoramic vision immediately. That'll drop the alertness slightly. And then you can do one of these sighs. So it'd be like a double inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth, just one or two. And what we see in the laboratory is people very quickly, their level of anxiety drops down to normal range. And so the ones I just described are what I would call real-time interventions because they're designed for use in real time. We also are studying some interventions that I would call kind of offline, like things that you would do on a regular basis, kind of like a meditation or an exercise session, although they're more along the lines of what I call deep rest and deliberate decompression. So you can control this state of mind or that you have. And I think for a lot of people, they feel so stricken by their internal states and they try and govern it with caffeine and alcohol or other substances. And I'm not a cop. I'm not here to tell people what they should do or not do.
You play one on TV.
Right. But I think that it's great to have tools that work very, very fast. And when the fact that we were designed to do this, the optic nerve is the connection between the eye and the brain. It's called cranial nerve number 2 for the aficionados. And cranial nerve number 2, the optic nerve, it goes directly to the brainstem to control what's called our reticular activating system, the system of our brain that controls alertness. It's not there on accident, okay? What we see and how we view the world is one of the most dominant modes of controlling our internal state. It's just happening at such a subconscious level, most people don't realize it. Breathing is the other way. And then the third way is really through movement. If you're feeling agitated, you have a choice of either trying to relax your body or stepping into movement to kind of shake off some of that energy. And you have to remember, we have a lot of comforts. We have a lot of discomforts that we've created for ourselves too. But, human beings spend, most of our evolution doing a lot of stuff during the day. We were probably physically tired at the end of every day. And now it's harder to do that unless you have a regular regimen of exercise. But, if something stressful hits, like out of nowhere, a stressful text, and again, we don't want to pathologize any of this because it's not, but, I have some friends, they have some young children, and one of the kids didn't come home from school, one of the most stressful things that could happen to a parent. It turns out it was a miscommunication between parents and the kid didn't communicate it. But for that 4 or 5 hours, the whole community was rallied along this. And it's in moments like that you were, I would say, forget trying to control your stress response. When things like that happen, you go full bore. It's when you're feeling like you have to do public speaking or you've been grinding, that feeling, there's a form of stress that isn't fear or anxiety, but just that you've just been pushing and pushing and pushing. So the 3 or 4 states that I think people ought to learn how to place themselves into deliberately. One is sleep. The other is alert and focused. It's good to be able to do that. The other is deliberately defocusing. So what we talked about is kind of deliberate defocusing on a short time scale, but you can do it on a longer time scale. And then there's states like the ones that everyone likes to talk about, like flow and awe and creativity. Those are great. But if you could master the other ones, right?
let's just get good at the everyday things we need in life.
Exactly. Let's not try and trampoline up to this place where we're going to, we all want exciting experiences, but let's be more functional. And so panoramic vision is a quick tool. Exhale, emphasize breathing. The double inhale, sigh is another tool. And we could talk about movement-based tools, but I think the vision tool and the breathing tool should get you through most of life events, to be honest. So you have this tool that's inside you. I know every single person listening has this thing we call a diaphragm. It sits right below your lungs. It was designed to move the lungs, and you can control it. And it was designed, and when you start taking control of your breathing, what happens is you start moving your awareness to your internal state. And then when you combine that with panoramic vision, you start to realize, wait, I've got a steering wheel here. I've got a gas pedal. I've got a brake. And I think for a lot of people, we've all been told about meditation and mindfulness, but we haven't really been led through the channels to get there. And so this is just the tip of the iceberg, but I think that should be sufficient for, at least for 90% of things. There's one other tool, and it works really well, especially if you're in public speaking or you're feeling that kind of grinding feeling, like you've just been pushing and pushing. A lot of people are feeling a lot of overwhelm and, just from doing everything. And that's the other point of control you have, which is over your voice. It turns out that when you get stressed, you start constricting the oxygen flow to your brain. And so one thing that's really good is if you do 2 of those sighs that I described. So inhale through the nose and then exhale, exhale. You open up the diaphragm, it actually changes your voice. It'll take the quaking out of your voice. So if ever you're feeling tired or, I think emotions are a good thing, but if you're feeling overly emotional, like you're going to kind of say the wrong thing, or you're feeling 2 of those will set everything back to your baseline. Because a lot of that quaking or that feeling like, oh my God, I'm going to come apart is actually because of disruptions in carbon dioxide and oxygen exchange in the body. And so you're not going to, most people aren't going to run off and do a breathwork session at that. And I'm not trying to knock breathwork, but I'm talking about real-time tools and things that you can do totally covertly. And so one of my hopes is that people will realize you have this system inside you. It gets it mostly right. It kind of gets you agitated when you need to be agitated, and it gets you calm when you need to be calm, but it's not perfect. And so we have to take some control over it. Just like, your body, you're given a physicality, but you got to do some things in order to get it where you want to go.
A deep breath and widening our gaze really does wonders for our sense of calm and focus. Moving to Dr. Christian Gonzalez from episode 159, he keeps us on track with tips for liberating our nervous system. Naturopathic doctor and author, Dr. G offers a unique approach to empowerment, which bridges his background in medicine with a spiritual take on emotional authenticity for full self-health and healing.
Our body wants to survive. Now, whether it's physical insult, chemical insult, or even mental, emotional insult, the body's always trying to restore balance. One way that we really do get in our own way of healing, and an obstacle to cure, an obstacle to healing, especially in cancer, is the mental, emotional stuff. But in the conversations I hear about cancer, no one is really discussing the environmental toxin aspect and then the mental, emotional stuff. What I mean by that is this. There is some level of trauma that patients are burdened with in their body, right? And we have to think about those cups again. When that cup finally overflows, we manifest the disease. We can eat the best diet. We can be in the sun. We can drink no alcohol, right? We can practice breath work. We can our immune system could be robust, but if we're holding on to this thing in our nervous system, and our nervous system is getting the input every single day that the world is not safe because of a trauma that feels like it happened yesterday to you, but happened in your childhood or your teenage years, or even young adulthood, whatever it is, whether it's a physical trauma like a car accident, a mental, emotional trauma, right? Something that really, really hurt you at some point, and you're holding that in, and your body's remembering it. Your nervous system is holding that in so hard and so deeply that every single day the world isn't safe. Imagine what communication it's giving the rest of your body. What is your immune system doing in reaction to that, right? What is your detoxification systems doing in reaction to that? And what I found is that there's across the board, and I've gave the best supplements, the best recommendations to patients. It wasn't until I saw people release that deep-seated emotion when I saw miracles in cancer. And I'm telling it straight up as it is. And look, I haven't been in practice for 3 years, but when I was in practice and I've seen thousands of cancer patients, the biggest miracles in cancer was when someone saw cancer as an opportunity to look deeper. And when they look deeper, and this isn't woo, this is literally nervous system talk. When they look deeper and they go, I have to release this and process this and integrate this trauma. So my nervous system is actually liberated from holding all of that stuff in. And I can walk through the world and going, it's safe. Whether I got into a car accident and I hear a car honk next to me, my nervous system isn't shutting down or closing up. And I'm in sympathetic nervous system branch all the time. And I can relax into it. Or if I hear a man's voice at night, and I was assaulted when I was young or something, that I can relax and go, I'm safe in this neighborhood. It's not until we give our body the full permission through release of that deep-seated trauma that it's really hard to heal from most diseases. And what I found is in my career, we're talking about a deep root of all health. And I wanted to bring that up because in cancer, if you're doing all those things, but you're not looking at the mental, emotional, or even the spiritual part of it, then you're doing only half the work, right? And I say that to anyone who has cancer. Give yourself the opportunity and think. Just think. Have you processed any traumas? And trauma is not just like big T traumas. It can be when you were just like made fun of, when you really were open and happy and like performing in a play and thought you were singing really well and the whole class embarrassed you. That's a trauma because maybe you don't use your voice the way you should be or could be or can be. Right. So that's the power that we have within us to let that go and start ourselves anew. And when we start ourselves anew, our nervous system is safe. And when our nervous system is safe, our whole body is working in harmony. And when our body is working in harmony, it's very difficult for disease to exist.
You make such an important point, and it's really refreshing to me to have doctors who've been in practice and seen really scary disease bring it back to this place of spiritual and emotional health and to work through traumas, because it's true. Like you can look at research that shows people who have stress in their lives, or they see an increase in interleukin-6. We have markers, we have inflammatory markers that can be from that mental, emotional, stressful place, that if it is a trauma for you and you have this low grade inflammation in your body that's chronic, there's that cup again. Like there's that overflow. How can you heal? It's right. It's so important that you bring that up. Can you talk about some of those free and easy ways, and then maybe the more investment ways that people can empty their cup? Keep that, like, we're all going to deal with some bit of chemical exposure. We're going to deal with some stress exposure. We're going to have things that are unavoidable. But how can we get the biggest bang for our buck with an investment? And what is free and easy that we can start implementing in our lives to like really pour some of that overflow out?
Let's talk about the good stuff, the free stuff, right? And it's funny because I'm in the process of writing a book on all the free stuff that makes you your most resilient to not only toxins and mold and disease, but also like stress, right? How can we take that cup, our proverbial cup, whatever size it is? Mine could be a shot glass, yours could be a 42-ounce glass bottle. But how do we dump it? And we go, okay, I'm starting anew, right? I'm starting anew, my resiliency, and that cup is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So you have to get back to nature. You have to think about what your nature is. And our true nature follows rhythms, right? So if you're sleeping poorly, you're out of rhythm, right? So first and foremost, you have to audit what are your sleep habits. Are you staying up at night, right? Once the sun comes down, are you on your phone? Are you exposed to blue light on your laptop, on your TV? Also, bright light plays a major role. It doesn't matter if you have blue blocker glasses and you have your lights all the way bright, you're still getting signals that are disrupting that melatonin system. So if you're not fully releasing melatonin, one of the most powerful anti-cancer hormones in your body at night to the optimum, then you got to think about the service you're doing to your body. So getting back to nature means falling asleep at the right time. So you'll notice that once the sun comes down, and if you do have, let's say, blue blockers on, I put them on at night, you turn down all the brightness of all the lights in your house, put on a Himalayan salt lamp, you'll soon find, and especially if you don't eat late, you'll soon find like 9:30, you're starting to get really tired. And 10 o'clock, and then you're coming back to your own night rhythms. So once you train your body to do that, you're waking up and all of a sudden your cortisol, the good stress hormone that you're supposed to have really high in the morning, is going to be skyrocketing up and your melatonin's going to come down, but you're going to wake up at a time that your body wants to wake up, right? You go outside, and this is where light plays such an important role. Light is such a healer and it's free. Go outside within 20 minutes of being up. Let the light hit your eyes. I wear contacts or glasses. I have nothing. It's naked eyes. And I'm letting light hit my face. So it's getting the signal. All of the cells in my body on their biological rhythms are going, yes, we know what time it is. Activate this mechanism, activate this pathway because we are ready to go, right? And all of a sudden, you're getting yourself back into rhythm. I would highly suggest movement in the mornings. Free, again, go on a walk. Whether you live in Minnesota or you live in Southern California, bundle up or put on whatever you want to, just walk. And at some point in your walk, try to get some natural grass or sand or dirt, take off your shoes, put your feet on the ground, right? Why? Because negative ions do play a role, an anti-inflammatory role, right? They help balance your blood sugar. They're antioxidant. It's crazy to think, but the universe or the world is here to give you free energy and free healing. And we evolve with our feet on the ground, so put your feet on the ground. This isn't like woo-woo stuff. Go look up the science of grounding and you'll see it. So already, this is getting back to nature, right? Make sure you pay attention to your breath throughout the day. Right? You're going to come back home, you're going to start working and you're going to get an email or you're going to get a ping on Slack and you're going to go, okay, this is my boss or this is my client or something. And someone's mad. There's always a problem that happens. This is the best opportunity that you have to create that space for yourself to go, okay, even though this happens, I'm not going to have a disproportionate reaction based on the crap I'm holding in, but I'm able to create space with what I'm observing and I'm able to breathe. This is where breath is so important because if you can catch your breath in the moments where you find yourself holding it and your nervous system is going, nope, this isn't a safe email. This isn't a safe Slack. I'm having a disproportionate reaction. Take that breath and go literally 5 seconds. Take 3 breaths deep in from the belly, deep out, all the way out. Do it 3 to 5 times, then answer the email. It's a beautiful thing because you're able to create awareness. So now you have one of the best anti-anxiety pills. It's not even a pill. Interventions, better than anything that you can be doing because you're able to do it yourself and it's free. Find the time in your day to create a ritual for yourself. I do mine in the morning. It could be literally on your lunch break. It can be at night. But if you find the time to create a ritual for yourself, you're giving yourself that self-care. Now, self-care isn't just laying in a bath, with a cucumber mask on, which I have no problem doing. I do it every Saturday. But self-care is carving out time in your day to come back to yourself, right? To turn off the Slack, to turn off the emails, to turn off the Instagram, the Facebook, the Twitter, to turn it all off, right? And if you have kids, great. But take some time to yourself. You could do it in the shower. Even if you're super busy, take those 10 minutes in the shower to go, I'm going to come back to myself with breathing. This is going to be a super mindful. If I don't have time to meditate today for 30 minutes, I'm going to have a mindful shower. So every piece of inch that soap touches, I'm going to really be feeling it. And I'm going to feel the water running. If you can come back to yourself once a day, that is the best medicine you can possibly have, right? It's free, right? Home air, open the door, open the window when you can, right? Let the air circulate in your home. I would highly suggest, and here's the first thing that costs something, an air filter. You can get a high quality. Well, there's a few that I like. I have no association with them. I don't make any money off them. I have Air Doctor. There's a good one is IQ Air and Austin Air. They all do a really good job of cleaning. They have expansive cleaning circumference, basically. They're doing a lot of cleaning in the home. And they're high quality, they're HEPA, and they'll take a lot of the crap out there, right? All of those off-gassing chemicals that's coming out from your couches and your beds and your floors, they do a really good job of cleaning it out, and they do it pretty fast. Those are the three best that I found so far. There's probably other good ones. It's the ones that I know.
Great.
So that's the home air. And the home air is amazing. It's so powerful, but do those things to build your resiliency first. Come back to your nature so you're more resilient. Even if you're investing in an air filter and you're breathing in air and you're exposed to all this stuff. And and whatever you're cleaning your house with, get better cleaning products. That stuff off gases big time. You can measure the air. It's usually 1 to 10 times more polluted than outside air, the indoor air. But when you're cleaning in the home, it's almost up to 100 times more polluted than outdoor air. So be very aware that there's non-toxic substitutes to cleaning supplies. Back to the home air, pay really close attention to what you're using to clean. Bleach is really, really important to stay away from, especially not only if your child has asthma, but it can produce asthma in the child. It's an asthmagen too, right? So it can literally be the cause of asthma in your child, especially if you're using it a lot. So be very careful with bleach. I've done shows on alternatives on cleaning supplies. There's do-it-yourself ones from home. You can use things like baking soda, Castile soap, borax. There's different essential oils that you can use. There's different combos of it that you can have. I have a post on different ones that you can do. So anyway, it's out there. And it's if not the same price, if you do it yourself at home, it's cheaper, bang per buck, right? Yeah, those are the things that I can think of. But rituals, keep your time to yourself, make some time. Sometimes for me, it's literally 15 minutes in the day. I try to have an hour and a half, 2 hours. That's a great, then I've done everything I want to do. But if it's 15 minutes, at least I go, I'm going to meditate, or I'm going to breathe, I'm going to journal, I'm going to dance, and I'm going to sing, and then create art or something like that within there that makes me happy today. And then I know I'm ready for my day. Whatever it throws at me, my cup is huge that day. And that's what we deserve, to have huge cups every single day.
You're not a parent, right?
No.
So that's really important when you have kids. It's you want a long fuse. You don't want a short fuse with your kids. You don't want a short fuse with your coworkers. It's that silly saying of put your own oxygen mask on first, because your ability to be resilient, like you say, to manage the stressors of life, then you're not as emotionally charged by something that is a quote unquote problem, especially if it is being built up into something that it really isn't. Most things are completely manageable, and we work through them and we deal with them. It's that initial onslaught of, oh God, what's happening? And you're able to get through that.
Air filters and even a relaxing cucumber mask might come with some costs involved. But one message I hope this episode gets across loud and clear is how easy and accessible most of these natural remedies are. We were all designed with tools to balance and even heal ourselves, as long as we know how to use them. Renowned personal trainer and designer of MAPS, Muscular Adaptation Programming System, Sal DiStefano is leading the resistance training revolution in episode 184. Sal took us to the gym to get some common sense tips on weightlifting, especially as it relates to women.
I speak primarily to women between the ages of 25 and 55. 95% of my community are female, and they want to feel their best. They are busy moms, they're entrepreneurs, they're ultra marathoners, you name it. It runs the spectrum. But a lot of women are afraid to lift weights, and they're afraid because of what you mentioned. They lift weights. Maybe they're holding on to a little bit extra water weight. Maybe they haven't burned off the fat yet. can we talk about that snowball effect, like how long it takes and what you recommend for women who are looking to go up that bell curve, hit the top, snowball down with the benefits of weight loss or their body composition change that increases their metabolism? Like, where do we start? Can we debunk the weight thing for women?
The damage that the fitness industry, or I should say the popular fitness industry and diet industry, has done to women is the worst, absolute worst. The lies that they've promoted have really created not just a lot of confusion, but have actually pointed women in the opposite direction, to the point now where, like you mentioned, now it's a lot better today than it was when I first started, but it still exists, where women they're afraid of lifting weights because why? I don't want to get big. Let's talk about that first. Building muscle is not an easy process. It's really hard, okay? And whether a man or a woman, you're not going to get too big. It's just not going to happen, and here's why. The amount of muscle you can build is largely controlled by your genetics. You could work out like a bodybuilder. You could eat like a bodybuilder. And if you don't have those bodybuilder genetics, you're not going to look anything like them at all. You're not going to build anywhere near the amount of muscle that they have. So what does this mean for the average person, the average woman? For the average woman, what lifting weights will do is you'll build a little bit of muscle. You might build 5-6 pounds of muscle on your body, spread over your whole body. You're not going to get any bigger. Remember, I said muscle is very dense. Even if you gain 10 pounds of muscle, you're not going to look any bigger. You'll feel tighter. You'll have a different shape to your body. Muscle looks really good. It lifts the butt, gives you hamstring curve. It makes your arms look sculpted, gives you better posture, that whole thing. But you have this much faster metabolism. And then here's my favorite part about all of this. And this is a great selling point. And I know, by the way, that in order for me to get the right information or to get people to adopt the right information, I have to sell it better than the people sell the wrong information. Okay. So
sell me on the muscles. Let's do it.
I'm going to sell you, and this is all true. Okay. When I send this signal to my body to build muscle, and it's fueled properly, and I have good sleep and everything, and my body is in the position where it's going to try to build muscle, before it builds muscle, it has to organize its hormones in a way to do so. Okay. So now let's think about the hormones that are optimal, or the hormone profile that's optimal for muscle building, okay? In men, high testosterone, sensitive to insulin. We have good growth hormone levels. Cortisol is appropriate, right? It rises in the morning, drops at night. I don't have this high cortisol all day long. In women, you have this wonderful balance of estrogen and progesterone. Women also, testosterone, very important women, much smaller amounts, but also very important. So we get good, healthy testosterone levels in women. We have good growth hormone levels. Cortisol is appropriate. What our body did is it organized its hormones in a way to add this active anabolic tissue, right? Muscle, to add muscle to our bodies. So it gives you a youthful hormone profile. We're all looking for that. I want that youthful hormone profile. Well, one of the best ways to do it is to tell your body to build muscle. And again, not my anecdote, proven study after study. Like, we'll just talk about testosterone, for example. Resistance training, proper strength training, is the only reliable form of activity that will raise testosterone in men, regardless of where their testosterone levels are, okay? Now, when I worked with women, when it came to hormone issues and hormone imbalances, I had a hormone specialist in my wellness facility. And let me tell you, their hormones always balanced out when they got stronger. It was like, if I saw them getting stronger in the gym, I would go talk to my hormone specialist who was doing the hormones, and I'd say, Susie just added 15 pounds to her squat. Let's look at our hormones, and say, oh yeah, no, everything's balancing out. Like, it's hard to build muscle. It's hard to get stronger and have a unhealthy hormone profile, right? Now, we talked earlier about activities that make me pare muscle down. And I'm sure you've seen this in your practice, like excessive cardio, cutting calories. So the body pares muscle down to slow the metabolism down. Well, your body also organizes its hormones in a way to do that. High stress hormones, low anabolic muscle building hormones. Because otherwise, how would your body pare muscle down if your growth hormone was optimized? It wouldn't, right? It would just raise cortisol through the roof. Estrogen and progesterone wouldn't be very balanced. You'd see low testosterone in women, definitely in men, because your body's trying to pare muscle down. So strength training does that. It builds lean muscle, which again, you're not going to get too big, organizes your hormones in a way that are youthful, I guess, for lack of a better term. You get a faster metabolism. So now you can eat more and be leaner and maintain it, by the way, much easier. Let's talk to that for a second. There's no permanent results from exercise. Okay, so let's be clear. However, the closest you can get to permanent results through exercise is through the muscle building process. There's something very interesting called muscle memory. Well documented. This is a well documented phenomenon. So if you gained, let's say I took the average female, she hired me, I trained her, we did a good job. In her first year of training, we gained 7 pounds of muscle, which is, I would say, a realistic amount of muscle to gain for a woman in her first year. After that, it really starts to slow down, but 7 pounds of muscle in her first year. And then let's say something happens for whatever reason, she just stops working out, becomes very sedentary, loses all 7 pounds in the next couple months, lost it. And then she comes back and she says, Sal, I need to get back into it. And you start training again. I lost all 7 pounds of muscle. She'll gain that 7 pounds back within a month or two. It took her a year to gain it the first time. The second time around, it's like a couple months and it comes back. That's the result of muscle memory. This is why people who have a good amount of strength and muscle can take time off and not notice, at least in the short term, all of a sudden this crazy fat gain. It's like, oh, I haven't worked out for a month and my body kind of looks the same. And then if they stay inactive long enough, eventually they start to notice muscles start to go away and they start to gain body fat. And then they go back to it and it's like, whoa, my body got in shape real fast, right? That's an incredible feature of strength training. It's incredible. Another feature of strength training is you don't need to do it very often. You just don't, because the benefits come from the adaptations and not the calorie burn. I don't have to do it all the time. I just have to do it in a way that's effective so that it tells my body to build muscle. And for most people, 2 days a week is plenty. So if, to be more specific, if I were to put together a workout for someone, one day may start with squats. Then we would go with a row of some type, maybe a cable row or a band row or a body row or a dumbbell row. Then I would do some kind of a press, dumbbells or a barbell or a push-up. That's also a press. Then I would do some kind of an overhead lift where you can press dumbbells above your head or use bands, or if you're into yoga, you could do a handstand type of an exercise. Then I may do some type of a rotational exercise with bands, maybe a plank or a crunch, proper form. You're done. Then maybe the next time you go in, I might replace some of those exercises. Instead of squatting, I'm going to have you do a deadlift. Instead of doing a push-up, well, now this time we're going to do a dumbbell press, but similar type of movement pattern. And just practice them. Just practice the lifts. And people will be blown away by how good it feels. Here's another point I'd like to make. You should, and this one blows people away because they have such terrible ideas around exercise. You should feel more energized and better after your workout than you do before. Okay. You should not finish your workout and feel like you just survived like a beatdown. You should not feel that way. Now, I understand the occasional value in pushing yourself and whatnot. I get that. That's true. But 9 out of 10 of your workouts, especially if you're a beginner, I'd say 10 out of 10. But if you get more advanced, 9 out of 10 of them, you should leave the gym or be done with your workout and be like, man, I feel better than I did when I started. I feel like I could do 4 more of those. I feel incredible. I feel like I could tackle my day. That's how you should feel at the end of your workout. And that will point you in the right direction. Feeling like you just got beat up, I promise that's only going to last so long before you either want to stop, before your body forces you to stop.
Absolutely. And it gives people such gym anxiety or workout anxiety when they're constantly leaving feeling that way. Because when in connecting how you feel to what you did, they're then connecting this negative feeling and maybe feeling nauseous or sick or depleted or they have a headache. They're not going to want to go back to the gym. Well, but the opposite gets them going.
Yes. Well, actually, it's even deeper than that. They went into it with the wrong mentality. Most people do not start a workout routine or a diet because they think to themselves, I need to take care of me. I deserve to be taken care of. I love my body. Therefore, I want to take care of it. Most people don't do that. Most people go into it the opposite. I hate my body. I'm fat. I'm gross. I'm not sexy. I'm lazy. I'm whatever negative description you can think of. So now I'm going to go to the gym to fix this negative thing. And you know what that becomes? A punishment.
Mm-hmm.
You are not in the gym to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. You're in the gym because you don't like something about yourself and you're going to try and fix it. And you're beating this is why people beat the crap out of themselves, because I ate that burrito yesterday. I'm going to sweat it out, right? I'm going to beat myself up. With diet, it becomes restriction.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't become self-care. It becomes, you can't have that cookie. No, you can't eat that. You're going to eat this bland stuff because that's what you deserve. That's all you're going to eat. And this is it. And this is what we're going to do. And you know what that leads to? Rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
It leads to rebellion. Here's my evidence. Nobody goes off a diet and then just kind of goes off. They go way off, right? Mm-hmm. Nobody goes off and says, yeah, I ate an Oreo. It's like, I ate the whole box of Oreos. I'm like, I just went. It's a rebellion. It's like the pendulum had to go in the complete opposite direction. Here's more evidence of what I'm talking about. How many times have you talked to somebody who started an exercise program, started a diet or whatever, and they're consistent, and then maybe you run into them a while later and you say, hey, how's that workout going? And they go, oh, I stopped because I just want to enjoy life. You know? And
sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but like that happens a lot.
All the time. And now you think to like let's examine the absurdity of that. Now, I understand it, by the way. I don't want to criticize anybody, but here's how absurd it is. You stopped improving your health. You stopped doing something for you that by all metrics improves the quality of life. You stopped doing it because you wanted to enjoy your life. Why? Because that was a punishment. You viewed it as a punishment. You treated it as a punishment. Of course you stopped. Anybody who's going to keep doing that? That's where the motivation goes away, and you're not motivated to beat yourself up anymore, and you want to stop doing it. If you go into it with the mentality of, I'm going to perfect the skill of exercise. I want to learn how to do this stuff. That's a positive thing. And you know what? I want to take care of myself. Like, I deserve to be taken care of. I deserve to feel what it feels like to be healthy. Okay. That'll lead you in the right direction. When you go into it with that mentality, let's say you had a stressful day at work and you're real tired and today you're supposed to go to the gym, and you walk into the gym. You're like, I am exhausted. Kids woke up twice last night. Stressful at work. I'm super tired. But I know I got to take care of myself. You know what that means? I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk on the treadmill and I'm going to stretch. I think that's what I'm going to do to take care of me today. Right. Versus, kids woke up 2 times last night and stressful day at work. But you know what? I'm still, I got to just beat myself up. I'm just going to go beat myself up in this class and let me drink a rock star and get energized and go hammer myself. Right. So it leads to long-term success. You can't enter it from a place of self-hate, because if you do, you're not going to hate yourself forever. I promise. At some point you're done with it and then you stop.
Yeah. And we need that consistency. We need to be examples for our kids. We need to show up.
Bottom line, ladies, there's no reason to be afraid of lifting weights. Strength training has too many benefits to let social pressures deter us from a rock-solid practice. We conclude this extra informative roundtable with Dr. Apostolos Lekos, functional medicine doctor and founder of Bios Functional Medicine in Santa Monica. He's my personal doctor and a friend. In episode 9, he shed light on the long-term effects of adrenal fatigue and how to combat it in our day-to-day lives.
Let's back up to adrenal fatigue.
Mm-hmm.
How are you diagnosing that with a client?
So first talking to you, I'm going to ask you your energy pattern. And here's a few clues. Like, I don't wake refreshed. I crash in the afternoon, and at night I feel money. I feel so good.
Let's go to the club and dance. I don't even need a drink. Just give me a box.
Exactly. Yeah. So you feel like that's the best time of my day. You have like this backward ass pattern.
Right.
People are more annoying. I can't handle stress. Every little thing drives me crazy. I can't deal with it.
Is Chris listening to this podcast? Babe, do you have adrenal fatigue?
So there's a lot of those symptoms too, but we'll go through the whole gamut of it. And then I'll do, I like to do Dutch urine cortisol test, and we'll look at your pattern through the day.
Those are the ones where you're peeing all day long into
these pieces of paper,
right?
Actually, yeah. And so your cortisol should spike in the morning. You should feel like, I'm up, I feel great, let's go. And then as the day goes on, your cortisol slowly dips down and it goes low at night, so you want to go to sleep. That's how it should be. And we see crazy patterns. People are flatlined, they're super tired. And we'll look at the urinary cortisol metabolites. That's the best predictor for your overall adrenal gland power. So we'll see, are you And I can always tell this person's had years of chronic stress. They got a beat down. Their adrenals are tapped. And what happens to the body, your body's smart because your body is like, cortisol is your fight or flight hormone. It's your survival. It'll make that over anything else. Yeah, pregnenolone is the mother hormone to cortisol.
You're right.
So if what happens in that is you're so stressed making cortisol, pregnenolone goes down, and that's one of your neuroprotective hormones. It's your short-term memory hormone, and you start to get deficiencies there. But what happens with the body, though, it's so smart that it can sense that, oh, Kelly's adrenals are wiped. She can only pump out this amount, and it's not that much. But man, I got to keep it around because she's got to survive and fight all the stuff she's doing. So what it does, it doesn't let your body doesn't want itself to metabolize and break down your cortisol. So it slows down the metabolic rate, slows your metabolism down. So in the way it does that, it slows down the thyroid. And the thyroid slows, and you see sluggish thyroids all the time because of the adrenals. So now the patient feels tired. I can't lose weight. My hair, my nails are changing. My cycles are getting heavier. And it's because of a sluggish thyroid due to the adrenals. So I'll blast the adrenals, they'll get all over them. And the thyroid comes back into play once the adrenals heal and they feel fine.
So what are you doing to heal those adrenals, or what are you working on with clients who have adrenal fatigue?
So you got to support them with nutrients. So I'll use B vitamins. I'll use vitamin C liposomal. I love ashwagandha. It's my favorite herb. I'll use Relora, rhodiola. There's all kinds of adrenal adaptogens, we call them. Adaptogens means that if the cortisol's low, it pulls them up. And if the cortisol's high, it'll bring them back down. So I use adaptogens. But the biggest thing of all is teaching you how to not stress. If you don't stress out, the system gets to breathe and you get to break the whole process. Because if you think about it, stress isn't real. What color is it? Go get me some and bring it back and show me what it looks like. You can't do that. It's your reaction to life. It's your perception to a problem. It's your way you're responding to everything. So you have a decision to make. How do you want to respond to these things? Because cortisol elevation, if it's chronic and long-term, wrecks you and will kill you. Anxiety, depression, memory problems, slow thyroid, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, more heart attacks. You don't digest well. Your risk of diabetes goes up. You can't reproduce. You get infertile. Guys get low testosterone. You get cancer easier. Sound good to you?
No thanks.
It's not. And it's all because of how you respond to life. If you respond differently, you're not going to have all that stuff happen to you. So step back for a second and breathe. Exactly. Do box breathing. You know what box breathing is? The Navy SEALs do that stuff. It's in my version of it, which is the common, is you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 5, exhale for an 8 count, and do that 3 or 4 times back to back. I swear to you, the third round of that, your shoulders drop, your neck relaxes. You just feel like, oh.
Should have started the podcast doing box breath.
We should have done that. So it's like.
Let's do it. How do we do it?
So you inhale for 4 seconds. You count in your head, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000. Then you're going to hold it for a 5 count. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5. And then you exhale for an 8 count. And it's a long, long exhale. It takes a long time. But that's round 1. Then you do it 3 or 4 more rounds and you instantly feel your cortisol drop. So if you're a person who's like, go, go, go all day, you better be doing this every hour. You can do it in meetings and elevators. No one knows you're doing it, but it gives your body a little break. So it's good to take breaks in the day, breathe, meditate, all kinds of techniques for stress response.
Thank you again for tuning in to today's lifestyle-themed All-Star episode. To stream the full conversations, look up episode 237 for Dr. Mike Hyman, number 1 for Dr. Andrew Huberman, number 159 for Dr. Christian Gonzalez, 184 for Sal Diastefano, and Prime number 9 for Dr. Apostolos Lekos. Here are their formal intros.
Dr. Andrew Huberman is a neuroscientist and tenured professor in the Department of Neurobiology at Stanford University, where he runs Huberman Lab. He has made numerous important contributions to the field of brain development, brain plasticity, and neural regeneration and repair. A large amount of his work is focused on the visual system, including circadian health, autonomic arousal centers in the brain, as well as the brain's control over vision and sight. If you download his resume, it looks a little bit like the reference section of an encyclopedia. But he is a really awesome, easygoing guy. Andrew and I met almost 3 years ago at Revitalize, a Mind Body Green conference in Tucson, Arizona, where he sat on a panel with my breathwork coach, Ashley Neese. Dr. Huberman shared the research behind how breathwork can have a profound effect in the brain, and since then, I've been following his work religiously. Dr. Christian Gonzalez is a naturopathic oncologist who earned his Bachelor of Science degree at Rutgers University and his medical doctorate at the University of Bridgeport's College of Naturopathic Medicine, and completed his residency at the Cancer Treatment Centers of America. He is the founder of the integrative health company, The Swell Score, and the host of the podcast, Heal Thyself.
If you don't know, Dr. Mark Hyman is a senior advisor for the Cleveland Clinic Center for Functional Medicine and the director of the Ultra Wellness Center. He is a New York Times bestselling author and board president for clinical affairs for the Institute of Functional Medicine. He is the host of one of the leading health podcasts, The Doctor's Pharmacy, and is a regular medical contributor to several television shows, networks, including CBS, This Morning Today, Good Morning America, The View, and CNN. It's a pleasure to welcome Mark Hyman back to the show. Dr. Apostolos Lekos is the founder and owner of Bios Functional Medicine, located in Santa Monica, California. His comprehensive, state-of-the-art medical approach combines cutting-edge testing with in-depth analysis of each patient's mind, body, and spirit. Dr. Lekos has completed the Advanced Fellowship and Board Certification in Anti-Aging, Regenerative, and Functional Medicine, offered by the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. He also earned his master's degree in Metabolic and Nutritional Medicine from the University of South Florida Medical College. He treats patients across the country for a broad range of health conditions, including autoimmune disease, digestive disturbances, fatigue, hormonal imbalances, and weight loss resistance. Today's podcast is with Sal DiStefano. He's a personal trainer and co-founder of Mind Pump Media and the co-host of Mind Pump, an online radio show and podcast that is dedicated to providing truthful fitness and health information. He's also the designer of the Muscular Adaptation Programming System, or MAPS, and the author of The Resistance Training Revolution. Sal is dedicated to prioritizing health over appearance, and he aims to shift the direction of fitness industry from aesthetic and insecurity-based to one based in self-love and self-care. And that's why I love him. Thank you for listening to Be Well by Kelly. Please subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Learn more at BeWellByKelly.com and follow me on Instagram at BeWellByKelly. I would love if you picked up my books, Body Love and Body Love Every Day. They're sold on Amazon and at all major booksellers.